As I get closer to wrapping up this draft, I keep going back to the idea that what's going to make or break the story is going to be those first few chapters. I've said it before that I tend to have a bit of an irrational worry when it comes to this process, in that I tend to always worry that even if my book is fantastic and it's really good, if those first few chapters are not the absolute perfect, they're not the best, and the first few chapters do not immediately grab someone's attention, I basically wasted my entire time on the story. Simply because when you look for agents, that's what they're looking at initially, is those first few chapters, and that's what they make at least their first pass of decisions on. And so I'm constantly thinking about that, constantly worried that, these first few chapters are going to be what's going to make or break the entire process here. That if I didn't somehow master these first few chapters, and they were not, absolutely fantastic, that it doesn't matter how good my book is. It doesn't matter that the rest of the book is amazing, but the rest of the book is really strong, and maybe you just had kind of a slow beginning, kind of a slow intro. It doesn't matter. They're not going to look at it. And it can be disheartening. I think it can be very, very disheartening for people. And for myself, it tends to be where this just tends to be the reality of it, right? This tends to be the kind of just the cold reality of the writing process. I will say I do think that it matters more the skill of your prose than how catchy and flashy your work is. You can try to do a really catchy, a really flashy intro, a really cool first line, whatever. But I think what really, really matters here the most is the quality of your prose. They can sort of gauge, just after reading a couple pages, basically how skilled you are as a writer. In the same way that if I took two people and I sat them down at in a guitar shop basically, and I had them play a song real quickly, I could pretty much figure out within at least the first few maybe the first minute or two, maybe the first few notes, I could pretty much tell who's been playing guitar for a long time and sort of who has just started playing. You can sort of just intuit it. In the same way, the first chapters, they're basically going to try to see how long you've been doing this and how skilled your prose is going to be for the rest of the book by judging it by how strong the prose is in the beginning. The idea being that your prose at the beginning should be consistent. You should be of the same quality of writing at the beginning of your story as you are throughout the story. And so if your beginning is really bad, they're just going to assume that the prose for the rest of your story is terrible, and kind of vice versa. If you have really strong prose in the first few chapters, they're going to assume the rest of the book is of the same quality, because the thinking is that you as the author are just at a certain level of skill and you're able to maintain that, whether that's true or not. So for me, I keep on thinking back to that. As I go through this process, I keep on thinking that that editing and revising this entire story does not really matter, because there's always that chance that no one's ever going to see it. No one's ever going to get to that point of looking at it. That the first few chapters basically are going to either sort of make or break this entire thing. And so what's the point in doing the rest of this? If I'm not confident in the first few chapters, what does it matter the rest of it? And yeah, so I constantly have that sort of self-defeating feeling. Even as I tell myself, the first two chapters look strong, and that I've been down this rodeo before here. I should be more confident in my work. It's still have that. I still have that feeling. I still have that sense of inadequacy in a sense. So I'm hoping, really, really, really hoping that I can sort of pull this together here and wrap this up strongly. But more and more, I want to get this done, and today it's as much out of a sense of just me not feeling like I have much more to offer the story, as it is a feeling of that insecurity, of that worry that, hey, maybe what you're doing isn't as good as you think, and perhaps no one's ever going to look at it anyways. No one's ever going to potentially see this. It's a very real feeling. It's I think it's one that a lot of writers tend to share. But yeah, today it hit probably the worst it's been in a long, long time. The solution is simple. I mean, it's not easy, but it's simple. You gotta kind of ignore it. You have to keep going, regardless of that feeling. You have to just keep working, keep trudging ahead. Again, not easy, but it's very, very simple. A very, very simple answer. And so I'll be back tomorrow. I have about 70 pages left to revise. And then, this draft's over, and then I'll kind of determine what I want to do from there and kind of where I want to go. But until then, I hope you all stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.